Keir Starmer is going to appoint what he calls an Islamophobia czar, and this plan is sparking a major free speech controversy. The government is preparing to unveil a whole raft of strategies on extremism and social cohesion, although we all know who the most extremists are, and we all know the ones who are the least socially cohesive. But there's one principle, one process, one proposal, deep and buried very deep indeed in that strategy, that is already causing great controversy. The Prime Minister Keir Starmer is expected to appoint what he is describing as an anti-Muslim hostility czar. Why only them? Why only them? Why are they protected? Why are they deemed to be special? Is it because they are the most hated? And if so, let's look into why. If you have a cancer, you whip it out. If you have a disease, you take the cure. You don't punish the rest of the body. Prime Minister says the role will sit alongside a new official government definition of Islamophobia. Again, why protection of that one? Why are we having blasphemy laws brought in just for one shitty religion? Critics are already warning it could restrict free speech. Of course it will. But more than that, what if you've got a religion that, say, for example, says you've got to eat pork? Oh, you can't have that religion because it offends Muslims. That's Islamophobic, following your religion. So they're saying that their religion, their shitty little religion, is better than your shitty little religion or anybody's shitty little religion. I'm an atheist. All religions are shitty religions. But some are better than others. Some of them are culturally better than others. Some of them behave better. Some of them are actually okay. I put it this way, as an atheist, I would rather be an atheist in a Jewish or a Christian country than in a Muslim country, for example. I'd rather be anything than in a Muslim country, for example. But details emerged after a draft document was leaked to The Spectator magazine of these plans, which were expected to be announced on Monday. This is their new cohesion strategy. Well, there's no point telling us we're not the ones who aren't cohesive. I sit and I talk and work with people of all faiths, all colours, all backgrounds, all nationalities. Never had a problem. Except one lot. There's one lot. Now, according to that report, the strategy will include a stronger crackdown on extremism. But as I say, who are the most extreme? Who are the ones who, for example, blow themselves up or do terrible things to children? The document says immigrants coming to Britain must make what it calls genuine efforts to integrate in our shared way of life. Well, that's all very fine and pleasant, but this lot don't, do they? They don't integrate. They refuse to integrate. They hate us. They hate our culture. They hate our history. They hate everything about us. In fact, we are an existential threat. They want us gone. But the government is saying that it includes learning English and engaging with British society. There's whole swaths of this country with people who don't speak English at all. They've got these ghettos, self-made ghettos. They moan they live in ghettos, but they made their own ghettos. And then these people don't have a need to learn English, so they don't. And so they live in these ghettos, incapable of dealing. What we need to do as a nation is to say, no, there's one language, it's English. And that's it. And you don't provide 57 different interpretations and translations on the backs of official forms. All official forms are in English, and that's it. And if they want to hire someone, that's up to them, but they pay. We shouldn't be paying. And if they don't like it, FRO. There's a plane, get on it, fly back to some shitty third world hole, and enjoy the rest of your life there with all the people that, you can relate with. Your culture, not my culture. Now, the report also identifies Islamist extremism as a major threat to community cohesion. No shit, Sherlock. It states that Islamist groups account for roughly 3/4 of the police's counter-terror workload. I think you'll find it is way more than 3/4. It claims that they are responsible for 94% of terror-related deaths in Britain over the past 25 years. Yep, go with that. At the same time, the document warns that anti-Semitism is becoming normalised in parts of public life. I've touched on that in an earlier video, and we all know which parts of the public life, which areas that anti-Semitism is particularly strong. Now, the blasphemy law question. Let's get into this, because this is very, very controversial. Despite introducing definition of Islamophobia, the strategy also rejects the calls for the return of blasphemy laws. So that's very confusing then. You have Islamophobia but not blasphemy. So if I said something that was against the Islam, if I said it was a controlling religion, it hates women, it treats women terribly, it's backward, it's unchanging, unyielding, and therefore cannot be comprehended in a Western modern context because it relates to, sheep shagging shepherds on a hill in the Levant in, 1800 years ago or 1600 years ago. Would that be Islamophobic or would that be blasphemous? Or neither, if it's accurate? Can the truth be blasphemous? Can the truth be Islamophobic? Who knows? Starmer himself previously told MPs there would be no introduction or reintroduction of blasphemy law in the UK. This leaked document repeats that position. But, if you say something that goes against Islam, you will be punished. And therefore it is. If not a de jure blasphemy law, it is a de facto blasphemy law. It states that Britain does not recognise blasphemy law. It will oppose attempts to intimidate people over the alleged religious offence. So are we free to offend a religion? Now, I get it. You don't offend the follower. You don't offend the Muslim, but you can offend Islam because a Muslim is a human being. A human being has rights. I get that. But Islam is just an idea, and ideas do not have rights, especially really shit ones. The document refers to the case of the Batley Grammar School in an incident that the teacher was forced into hiding after showing caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad during a lesson. Oh, we've all seen them. Load of shit, isn't it? Nobody knows what he looks like, so how do you know? Look, I can just draw a little happy face and go, that's Muhammad. How do you know? There will be new powers announced against extremism. The strategy also proposes several new enforcement powers. These include the ability to close extremist charities. Trustees with unspent hate crime convictions could also be suspended. There are plans to increase monitoring of non-violent extremism in universities. Good. And extremist preachers could face exclusion from the United Kingdom. Good. And just get rid of them all. If you get rid of all of them, then the problem sorts itself out. You don't have the problem, do you? Public bodies could also be banned from giving funding or legitimacy to extremist organisations, but nobody's actually describing what extremism is. Now, here's the thing. If you go to a Muslim country, no non-Muslim can have power. So let's do the same here. Let's say we're a Judeo-Christian country, and only Judeo-Christian people can have power, can have, political or local power, public bodies, things like that. And let's ban Islam or Muslims from holding office. It's what happens in Muslim countries. So let's play the same card and do the same thing here. And if they don't like it and they want political power, FRO. Now, the strategy is being coordinated by the Department of Housing, Communities and Local Government. A source close to the Housing Minister, Steve Reed, declined to comment because he was scared. But the source suggested the draft may not be represented in the final version. No. Now there's been leaked, there'll be hasty rewrites because, oh shit, they've realised how bad it looks. Policy experts are already debating the potential consequences. Yeah, the people of Britain up in arms going, how fucking dare you? Andrew Gilligan, the senior fellow at the Policy Exchange and a former Downing Street advisor, warned the proposals carry clear risks to free speech. However, he said, in some commitments, the document could be worthwhile if they're actually implemented. Yeah, if you clamp down on every extremist fairly, because most of the extremists, 99% of the extremists, are of a certain group. The government is expected to publish the final version in the coming days, probably Monday. Now, it might be backed up because I have to do some serious rewrites. So Wednesday, and when it does, the debate around extremism, integration and free speech is going to intensify, and I can guarantee I will be covering this. That was a long video. That was a long script. I was writing that and I was getting angry as I was writing it and I was trying to calm it down. So I've done very well. Thanks very much for watching. If you've made it to the end of this script and you are not subscribed, either A, you're about to subscribe, or B, well, you're a masochist. But I thank you anyway and do hit subscribe. Bye.